All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking the absolute intricacies of one of the most daring, high-stakes, covert intelligence missions you'll find in historical accounts. We're talking about a massive espionage operation known as Operation Hornet. So let's see exactly how this whole thing played out. To really grasp the gravity of Operation Hornet, we've got to rewind a bit to 1984. India was reeling from this relentless wave of terrorism. I mean, we're talking over 100 terrorist attacks that claimed more than 500 lives. And right as the country was desperately trying to recover from that massive, unthinkable loss of life, the tragedy culminated in October with the assassination of the Prime Minister. The morale of the entire nation was just completely fractured. Now, what's truly chilling here is the sheer arrogance of the guy orchestrating so much of this chaos from the shadows. Picture this: 7,000 kilometers away, safe in London, you have an ISI-backed operative named Abdul Khan, literally celebrating this turmoil. According to the source material, he's on a phone call with the ISI chief, just laughing and boasting, saying, now their queen has also been wiped out from the game. He fully swore to inflict wounds so deep that the nation would never recover. He actually believed he could tear apart a country while sitting safely on another continent.
Section 1. The beginning of Op Hornet. How R&AW responded.
So, right at the core of this explainer is this intensely high-stakes cat-and-mouse dynamic. Over in London, you've got Abdul Khan. He's considered this untouchable mastermind, living as a highly respected businessman, guarded 24/7 in a literal fortress of a bungalow by top ISI officers. Like, even the local police didn't go near this guy. But tracking his every move? Sanjeev Jindal, a completely relentless R&AW intelligence officer. Jindal knew that going after Khan was a massive diplomatic risk. I mean, one wrong move could absolutely torpedo relations with the UK, but he was dead set on making sure this enemy faced justice. There was, quite literally, zero room for error.
In November of '84, Jindal actually intercepted these highly classified documents that laid out a terrifying master plan. Turns out, Khan was holding regular, secret meetings with top officials and a separatist named Sandhu. What were they doing? Well, they were building a massive network and securing serious funding. And their ultimate goal was to replicate those devastating 1970s-style riots, the exact kind that had previously torn apart East Pakistan, and bring them right into India. They wanted to trigger chaos on such a massive scale that the government would just collapse, effectively splitting the country in two.
Section 2. Khan's secret network. Infiltrating the inner circle.
Fast forward to early 1985, and this operation is just exploding across Europe. Jindal smartly split his team into two distinct phases: intelligence collection and target elimination. In Paris, he briefed two highly capable agents going by the code names Clark and Mohan, and sent them straight to London to penetrate Khan's world. Meanwhile, Jindal himself heads over to Austria to hunt down the money trail. There, he meets up with a highly skilled informant named Sophie, someone who had actually helped him vanish without a trace in past operations.
But here's the thing about espionage. Breaching a fortress like Khan's requires this painstaking, tedious breadcrumb trail of work. In London, agents Mohan and Clark desperately needed a weak link. And you know where they found it? Khan's gardener, a guy named Tariq Siddiqui. By bribing him, they actually convinced Siddiqui to hand over all the incoming mail. Now, for 10 long months, they got absolutely nothing but useless invitation cards. But then, boom, they hit the jackpot. They found a bank statement showing massive funds being transferred between the separatist Sandhu and his personal bodyguard, Harbaksh. Finally, they had a real target to squeeze.
Section 3. The search for funding, following the money trail. Meanwhile, back in Austria, Jindal's trusted informant Sophie introduces him to a guy named Harpreet Ahuja. Ahuja drops a total bombshell. He reveals that his former boss, an American businessman named Sethi, had suddenly started taking meetings with some highly suspicious new people and was secretly funneling millions to ISI operatives. Ahuja had actually quit because it sketched him out so much. Realizing he just stumbled onto the network's financial nerve center, Jindal convinced Ahuja to go back to work for Sethi. But this time, he was bringing Sophie along with him so they could gather hard evidence and eventually squeeze Sethi for everything he knew.
Section 4. Uncovering the evidence. Closing the trap.
Okay, let's jump back to London. To get to that bodyguard, Harbucks, agents Clark and Mohan set up this brilliant, albeit ruthless trap. They tracked down Harbucks' brother, Amarjeet, who is desperately doing the rounds at a UK immigration office. Agent Clark plays the friendly local, right? He promises to help Amarjeet get his citizenship sorted, but the second they get him into a private room, Agent Mohan is sitting there waiting. Through this incredibly intense, high-stakes interrogation, they give him a choice: immediate deportation and potentially much worse, or full UK citizenship and a very thick envelope of cash, all in exchange for everything he knew about Harbucks. Naturally, Amarjeet was terrified and he sang like a canary.
But look, espionage rarely goes off without a hitch. In November 1985, armed with Amarjeet's intel, the British police raid Harbucks' flat. But it's a total bust. Harbucks wasn't even there. The ISI had intercepted the leak, and he had already fled to Pakistan. Jindal realizes the operation is severely compromised, and they have to wrap this up fast. Luckily, across the globe, Sophie's infiltration had really paid off. She completely terrified the financier Sethi by threatening to hand his treasonous evidence straight over to the Americans. By July 1986, a totally spooked Sethi flips sides entirely and flies to Paris to meet Jindal face to face.
When Sethi finally meets Jindal, he hands over something totally invaluable, a single CD. But this CD was the absolute motherlode of evidence. It detailed all the ISI plots, identified the exact individuals hired to instigate the riots in India, mapped out handler locations, and gave definitive, undeniable proof of treason against Sandhu and Khan. Jindal didn't waste a second. He immediately passed this evidence to the British Home Secretary. And the result? British armored vehicles roll up, raid Sandhu's home, and he is finally placed under arrest.
Section 5. The final strike in Pakistan. Eliminating the target.
So Sandhu is down. But then Jindal gets this frantic, abrupt phone call from an asset with massive news. Khan was leaving the UK to visit his family in Pakistan. And once he touched down in Pakistan, Khan felt entirely untouchable. He completely dropped his guard and settled into this highly predictable daily routine. We're talking morning prayers at 4 a.m. sharp, and by 9 a.m., he was strolling through the local market buying vegetables. This utter predictability, it was exactly the opening Jindal's team had been waiting years for.
The tension at this exact moment in the source accounts is just off the charts. Picture it. Khan is casually buying vegetables when two R&A agents pull up next to him on a motorcycle. They don't just start shooting, instead, they deliver this chilling, psychological blow. They look at him and ask, "Sir, have you ever slaughtered a chicken?" Khan looks at them, sees the weapons, and instantly knows his time is up. The blood completely drains from his face, and the chase is on. Khan absolutely scrambles through these narrow alleyways like a terrified rat, desperately chucking his vegetables at the assassin's guns just to buy a fraction of a second. He sprints until his lungs are burning. After running for a bit, the motorcycle actually vanishes. Khan pauses, takes a deep breath, and for a brief second, he actually believes his quick reflexes saved him. But the very moment he feels safe, the motorcycle reappears. The agents look at him, deliver one final line, "You are the chicken," and end his reign of terror with 9 bullets, leaving him right there in the alleyway. Thousands of miles away, back in a quiet room in Paris, Sanjeev Jindal's phone rings. On the other end, a voice simply says, "Operation Hornet successful." After 3 grueling years of painstaking intelligence gathering, shifting alliances, incredibly close calls, and living completely isolated from his family, Jindal finally shed tears of relief. He and his team, Clark, Mohan, and Sophie, had systematically dismantled a massive, existential threat entirely from the shadows. Which leaves us with a pretty profound question to consider. We just walked through the mechanics of one single, highly classified mission, but it really makes you wonder, how many invisible battles just like this one are fought and won in the shadows every single day? How many unseen intelligence officers are out there risking absolutely everything so that the rest of the world can sleep peacefully? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this breakdown provided a clear, fascinating lens into the incredible world of covert operations.